government, economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon House.
And welcome to the broadcast. Glad you are with us on this August 19th, 2025. Well, the population of America isn't collapsing, it has collapsed. That's what all the data is showing us. And I was texting with Joe Allen today. He'll be with me tomorrow night on Brannon House Live. And he's been tracking technocracy and transhumanism and all this for years. And I think he learned a lot from my guest today and fellow broadcast partner, Patrick Wood. And it seems as though the COVID shot was indeed about depopulation. And now, voila, after the great collapse of our population, which is increasing in infertility and death rates, just in time shows up AI. Coincidental? Coincidental, folks? Do you believe in coincidental events like this? I don't. The collapse of our population, millions who are unemployable due to disabilities. When we have studied these stats and looked at these stats with medical doctors like Dr. James Thorpe, Dr. Peter McCullough, epidemiologist Nick Helsher. So you figure those who are dead, dying, disabled, and just in time, here comes AI. Now, what is this really going to do to our country? Particularly as, well, Joe Allen says, we're going to create jobs by covering the earth with parasitic data centers that give birth to AIs that will replace all human labor. That's what we're being told. Now, if you think it's getting strange out there, folks, it gets even weirder because there was an article over at the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail had an article, if I could pull it up here real quick. Let's see here, guys. Here we go. China. Daily Mail, here it is. Would you use a robot surrogate? China develops the world's first, quote, pregnancy humanoid, end quote, that's capable of giving birth to a live baby. But here's what it says. It's a concept that currently only exists in sci-fi movies, but scientists in China are indeed developing the world's first pregnancy robot capable of carrying a baby to term and giving birth. The humanoid will be equipped with an artificial womb that receives nutrients through a hose, experts said. A prototype is expected to be released next year with a selling price of around 100,000 yuan. The device he envisions is not simply an incubator, but a humanoid that can replicate the entire process from conception to delivery. He said the artificial womb technology is already in a mature stage and now needs to be implemented in the robot's abdomen so that a real person and the robot can interact to achieve pregnancy. I can see Patrick Wood, and he's shaking his head. I haven't even brought him on the screen yet, and he's already shaking his head. I don't know. As it was in the days of Noah, you got something going on there. Non-humans somehow interacting with humans. The Nephilim, Genesis 6, I don't fully understand it all. People can argue and make all kinds of debates back and forth, but something weird was going on. And we're told that as it was in the days of Noah, as it was in the days of Lot, so shall it be before the return of the Son of Man, the second coming. Oh, there's so much to get to and so little time. On top of it, I don't know what's going on. Will they achieve peace? Well, we're being told today, AOL News. Did you guys even know AOL was still around? You guys know that sound. You know that sound, Logan? No, you don't. Patrick and I do. That's the sound of dial-up, AOL. We all learned to get on the internet with dial-up phones and the AOL sound, which, by the way, I guess they finally turned that off last week. That was in the news. They finally turned off AOL last week. So people were still using dial-up. Well, I didn't know AOL had a website around, but apparently they still do. Here's their headline. Russia launches largest attack of August on Ukraine after Trump-Zelensky meeting. That's dated today, folks, August 19th. I don't know if there's going to be peace. We'll see. Joining me now is Patrick Wood. What's going on with President Trump? Oh, yes. Can we bring that clip up? Oh, wow. We've got to bring this up. Let's start with this and bring Patrick Wood on to talk about this. Yeah, this was disturbing to me. Pray for President Trump. He says he has not asked God to forgive him of his sins. Can you find that clip, Logan? We've played that one before. And now a new one. A new one today out on Fox and Friends, President Trump on the phone. Here's what he had to say. Well, I better plug it in, Brennan. Here we go.
Just want to end it. I want to end it. You know, we're not losing American lives. We're not losing American soldiers. We're losing Russian and Ukrainian, mostly soldiers. Some people, as missiles hit wrong spots or get lobbed into cities like Kiev and towns. But, if I can save 7,000 people a week from being killed, I think that's I want to try and get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing I'm not doing well. I hear I'm really at the bottom of the totem pole. But if I can get to heaven, this will be one of the reasons. Well, I think I saved a lot of lives with India, Pakistan. They were going at it. The planes were being shot down. That was going to be maybe a nuclear war if I let that go, and I did.
Well, I hate to say it, folks. I don't think he's joking. Joining me now is Patrick Wood. Patrick, welcome to the broadcast. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, thank you.
That's a 7-minute opening, and how many times did I see you chuckle or shake your head? Can you believe it? In 7 minutes, and we're just scratching the surface, my friend.
You're right. It's just really crazy.
Okay, well, let's pray for President Trump, because my word to him is, Mr. President, you do not have to earn your salvation, and you cannot earn your salvation. I wish Paula White, oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, she has a false gospel. I was going to say, I wish Paula White would share this real gospel with him, but she doesn't know it. Wow, poor President Trump. He's surrounded by so many people claiming to be Christians that don't even seem to know what the gospel is. I don't think he's joking there based on other things he said in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we need to pray for him, because we need him to have discernment, because there's a spiritual battle going on. You and I know this. And a lot of it, unfortunately, is unfolding in his administration, although he's doing some wonderful things in some major important areas. This whole thing with warp speed that began under his first term is now coming into reality. And he was praising it from the Oval Office the other day, driving people crazy with that. Because we're not seeing a population collapse. Population collapse isn't coming. A population collapse is here. We have all the data to show it. People that are dead, the guys and gals that are out of the workforce due to being disabled, and the ones that are now unable to have children, infertility. You want to speak to that, please? And voila, AI just shows up just in time for that, Patrick?
Wow. There's another aspect to this. When two armies go head to head with guns and stuff like that, rockets, the intent is to wound the enemy. When you wound somebody, they have to take care of them, and that eats up huge resources. So the theory of war, this used to be the case, and not anymore, but that was the case maybe 20 years ago. You wanted to wound the enemy as much as you could, keep him out of service so he can't fire a gun or whatever, and then let the other people take care of him and give him operations and drugs and whatever that pins the enemy down. So this is another aspect, I think. Yes, there's been a lot of people killed. More people have been wounded. Many, many more people have been wounded by this COVID issue debacle. Just think about it.
Yeah, 100%. So let me go to some clips we have today. We have some clips I think you'll find interesting and disturbing at the same time. Let's see where the first one is. Well, first one is all the data centers. Vantage Data Centers just announced its largest ever investment into the United States of over $25 billion. This will go toward a new data campus in Texas for artificial intelligence. They say resulting in over 5,000 jobs. Another investment the experts said was impossible. Okay, well, while they're all excited about that, I would question whether it would create 5,000 jobs, because we have Google making one over in West Memphis, Arkansas for $10 billion. And they're saying it's only going to create a couple hundred jobs. So I don't buy that they're going to have 5,000 jobs at all.
Permanent jobs, not temporary jobs. Permanent jobs will all be in the range of 200, maybe 300 people for that facility of that size. But all the construction jobs, who cares about them? They'll be gone in 2 months? It's like, well, what do the people do at that point? Well, that's going to be a big influx. People coming into town, trying to get a job temporarily, and when the job is over, they're going to leave town. They won't stick around. No. So yeah, that's just totally nonsense.
100%. You and I haven't even rehearsed this. All right, let's go to a clip. The Great Divide is going to get worse. That's what Larry Fink tells the World Economic Forum. The Great Divide is going to get worse. Here we go, folks. Listen to this. This is at the Economic Forum.
I think the Great Divide is going to get worse. The wealthy and the poorer countries. But in my conversations with the leadership of these large developed countries that have xenophobic immigration policies, they don't allow anybody to come in, shrinking demographics, and the social problems that one will have in substituting humans for machines is going to be far easier in those countries that have declining populations.
Okay, bingo. Can we stop right there?
Yes.
Create a problem.
Yes.
Create a problem and then offer the solution. Oh, we got declining populations. And voila, AI data centers, AI everywhere, advancement. And they don't want these people around anyway because they are bad for the environment, don't you know? And we have a struggling healthcare system. We have Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, all these things that are under great strain. And yet we just had someone on not too long ago, Patrick, that was showing all of these people that are getting off Obamacare and they're not getting their Social Security check. Now, if you're getting free healthcare, why would you stop getting free healthcare? And if you're getting a Social Security check, why would you stop getting a Social Security check? Because you're dead. And it's a massive drop. So they're dying. They're dying. And the COVID shot seemed to do its job. And they're going to use the depopulation now to bring in the AI. I deliberately held you back from commenting because I didn't want you interrupted by the music. So we come back. The floor will be yours, Patrick, to comment and respond to Larry Fink of Blackwater. Isn't that who he's with? Patrick Blackwater? BlackRock. BlackRock.
BlackRock.
Blackwater. That's the gray water and the black water. All the motor coach people, RV people know that, right? I'm sorry. It's from my years of traveling on a motor coach. All right, we'll be right back. Don't go away. You've seen some of them on Fox News, and now some of them are coming to the Worldview Weekend in Collierville, Tennessee. Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th, like Gordon Chang, an expert on China, as China is buying up a lot of our farmland and more. Then we're going to have the lead pollster of Rasmussen Polling, Mark Mitchell. Where are we headed with the midterms? What's the worldview of the average American? What values do they really believe in? And then Chris Martenson, he's an expert on the Great Reset as we head toward digital currency and social credit scores. Sidney Powell, a lot of you know who that is. Alex Newman, Dr. Andy Woods on Israel and the Middle East. And Adia Maramonde, she was inside the government and even met with people like Gaddafi. She's going to talk about the Middle East. All the details are available, and to get your tickets at worldviewstore.com. That's worldviewstore.com. Again, tell your family and friends, worldviewstore.com. The conference, people are starting to register now in bigger numbers. We're moving into the fall. People are getting back in gear. And we just saw some folks registering from way on down south. We saw some folks registering from way up north. We got them registering now, and we'd love to have you come with us and be with us. WorldviewStore.com, our Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th, 22nd annual Worldview Weekend. Gordon Chang, Alex Newman, Sidney Powell, Dr. Lana, Hadia Miramonde, or I don't know if there's an M or N in there. Miramati. I'm one of the, maybe I'll have her name right before she gets here. Miramati. Dr. Andy Woods. Now, see, that's an easy name. We like that. Dr. Andy Woods. Chris Martinson. Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen. All of the details, worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com. Now, if you can't make it, then you can enjoy 50% of what we have to offer, because you're going to be missing out on the other 50, which is all the great people together in one place, interacting with each other and interacting with and visiting face-to-face with the speakers. But you can pick up 50% of the blessing if you want to watch by live stream. worldviewtube.com/vault. If you have a year membership, you can do that. worldviewtube.com/vault. worldviewtube.com/VAULT. And very soon, we'll be rolling out our powerful search engine that is going to allow you to search our 35-year database like never before. I'm very excited about that. And we're not going to make you join another club, pay another price. We're going to put that right into the vault for our current members as our way of saying thank you for being a supporter of what we do in part through our vault, worldviewtube.com/vault. All right, Patrick Wood, technocracy.news, technocracy.news. So we got these nations with xenophobia problems. They don't like all these foreigners coming in. But with the declining populations, that's going to open up an opportunity for AI. Create the problem and then offer up the solution, right, Patrick?
Fink has just ascended to the leadership of the World Economic Forum as co-chair.
Say that one more time. Say that one more time.
Larry Fink has just ascended to the leadership of the World Economic Forum.
He's replacing Klaus Schwab?
Yes, he is.
When did this happen? Why am I just finding out about this right now?
There's an article yesterday, I think, over the weekend.
Breaking news.
Exactly. Well, it is. I mean, nobody really pays attention at this point. Klaus Schwab was cleared of all of the corruption stuff they had against him. And, oh, by the way, and then they said at the end, Larry Fink is going to be the co-leader at this point of the World Economic Forum.
Even inside their own organization, create a crisis to get what you need. We got to get rid of this guy who sounds like a Bond villain, right? Out of Central Casting. Nobody likes this guy. He's got some creepy accusations against him as well. So let's use that to pressure him. Don't you want to go away with a golden parachute? Oh, sure I do. And now enter Larry Fink. I think that's my opinion. But wow, a crisis inside their own circle to bring in Larry Fink.
Yeah. But most importantly, Larry Fink is a member of the Trilateral Commission.
Oh, wow.
Yes, he is. Now, on the world stage, we have multiple Trilateral Commission members reappearing. How can you make this? Is not a coincidence, for sure. People, they rag on me all the time that who cares about the Trilateral Commission? They're just a bunch of old fogies or whatever. I got news for you. These people are still around after 50 years, and they're still not just influential, they're in top posts around the world. You have the Premier of England. You have the Premier PM of Canada as well. And there's other influential members scattered around. How about Eric Schmidt, the ex-CEO of Google? He's the lead technology guy for the military at this point. In Washington, D.C., he's been speaking to all the people back there. These people are still in charge. Can I just say that? They haven't gone away, obviously. And now Larry Fink is leading the charge to take over the World Economic Forum. Well, it was already in their hands in the first place, because Klaus Schwab first got his cue from Henry Kissinger in the early 1970s. He was a member of the Trilateral Commission, founding member, and he encouraged Klaus Schwab to do what he did with founding the World Economic Forum in Europe. So there you go. These people just won't stop.
Wow, incredible. All right, let's hear what Larry's got more.
But the biggest opportunity for every country is going to be if they're going to be adapting their own AI, and they're going to keep the AI within countries, within border, all the data in border. And so that's going to be the opportunity, too, for each country to develop that, and they'll have all their data remain in their country. So obviously that requires huge investments. But that.
Okay, can we stop right there? Because do you believe that? Do you believe that for 1 minute? All this data they're collecting on us is going to remain in country? Come on. Once it's on the internet, boom, it goes everywhere.
Exactly. And this has already been a stink in Saudi Arabia, for instance, where they're building data centers to house data. And they say it's going to be private, but they're hosting data from Europe and the United States as well. So, the data doesn't even reside in the country of origin.
Right.
So
you know what I see, Patrick, is another crisis. They're going to let another crisis happen to get people to take the solution. And it's going to be massive identity theft on a global scale now. Massive identity theft and breaches on a global scale. And then all of a sudden, to get your identity back, get your credit, everything straightened away, protect yourself, you're going to have to go to digital IDs, biometrics, whatever it is they propose. Mm-hmm. So again, create the crisis to move the ball down the field. That's coming.
Exactly. I have to say, I remember back the policies that were implemented in the EU, especially by the United Nations, to accept all of these foreigners from the South, mostly from the Mideast. These policies were set in motion in the first place by members of the Trilateral Commission. They were. Peter Sutherland was the special envoy to the United Nations in charge of going around to all the countries and setting quotas for this immigration that took place. This was years ago. Now, he just died a couple of years ago, but nevertheless, this was an official policy of the Trilateral Commission to integrate Europe with the Muslim population from the Mideast, and they said it was going to create multiculturalism. And that'd be a wonderful thing. We have a multiculturalism.
That's working out great for New York City, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Oh my gosh!
Have you seen this? I mean, there's some serious multiculturalism going on, and it's working out beautifully, isn't it? No, it's not working out beautifully for the people that live in St. Paul or New York City or Minneapolis or Michigan and Dallas, Texas. But it sure is working out beautifully for the technocrats, the transhumanists, the globalists, because multiculturalism, as you and I know, is not about the study of multiple cultures. It's a denigration and a destruction of the foundational Western worldview of these societies, i.e. Christianity. And what is the very antithesis of Christianity? Satanism. And what is that? Islam.
There you go.
They worship the same God, Satan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Larry Fink is telling us that we need to take care of the problem with immigration as causing trouble, whatever. But that's a problem that they started in the first place, and so they're speaking out of both sides of their mouth, and problem. Reaction, solution.
And he says that all of this that's going on is going to create the foundation for real big global growth. Listen to this.
One of the foundations of real big global growth.
Let's talk about quantum computing.
He said, let's talk about quantum computing, just so you understand what he said. I would much rather have these guys, however, working in the data center than driving behind the wheel of a semi-truck. Because we just saw how that worked out with some of the Indians that did a U-turn and killed 3 people. Right? Which, by the way, folks, you should go and listen to my radio show, TV show from last night with Shannon Everett because someone is pumping 100,000 truck drivers into about 5 locations in America. 100,000 foreign illegal truck drivers, many of them Middle Eastern, are being pumped into 5 major cities, 100,000 per city. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds like a major national security crisis for shutting down the just-in-time inventory. Because now they can tell all of these people that are under their control, stop delivering the goods, pull over somewhere, stop, turn off your truck, or block the bridges into major cities for the flow of traffic and just-in-time inventory. Or we pray not, even worse, what is on board those trucks? Oh, I don't know, maybe a Club K cargo system like we predicted and talked about in my 2018 documentary. But why do we have American truckers, Shannon Everett, telling us last night we have 100,000 illegal aliens being pushed into 5 centers of the country to drive trucks? Something is going on. Here we go. But back to where I was. These guys, I'd much rather have them in the data centers than behind the wheel of the trucks, though.
Computers come in. No, it's only China and America who are going to have that technology. That gives them another tremendous edge over the rest of the world. So we have to actually think of how do we protect the rest of the world.
The fracture between the U.S. and China is much deeper and broader today than it was 5 years ago. It's creating profound changes in business behavior. I believe there's more fear in China today than there was than 2019. And all around the world. So the world today, whether it is a geopolitical issues, a war in Ukraine, that has a profound impact. The war in Israel and Gaza is having a profound impact. Whether the lasting fear of behaviors during COVID and the result of that, I believe the world has changed dramatically, and it's still evolving and changing. That being said, there's some really great trends too, as Bill was talking about, the technological changes, the advancements, the opportunity.
Next 5 years, AI is going to develop into something which we can't even imagine because at the speed it is developing today. Is there a possibility of AI becoming more powerful than humankind? I certainly think is that AI, the way AI is going on, the beyond is that humankind will have to get together. AI is going to be a much bigger force. And I think at that time, the divides, the fracture between us, hopefully will naturally heal because you will be having a much greater enemy to take care of.
You're going to have an enemy to take care of when it comes to AI. It's going to create this great fracture and a great divide between the rich and the poor. And we still got to get to the idea of China trying to develop robotic humanoid wombs. Oh, wow. Oh, and how about an AI? An AI, and what did an AI recently tell a young student? You're going to have to hear this news story. Parents, grandparents, I hope you're paying attention. I hope you're paying attention. You thought the internet was a dangerous place for your kids prior to AI? We have not seen anything yet.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit, match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet, and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home. Went to bed. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio, our website, worldviewradio.com. My guest, Patrick Wood, technocracy.news, technocracy.news. Be sure to stay tuned for Crosstalk with Jim Schneider coming up at the top of the hour on 100 outlets, well over 100 outlets nationwide on this terrestrial station you're listening to, unless you're listening to WROS out of Jacksonville. The rest of them, that's VCY America. And you can listen to Crosstalk at vcy.org or stay on that terrestrial station you're on at 2 p.m. Central. All right, so Larry Fink, we just found out today from Patrick, the new head of the Economic Forum, has an Indian guy, saying that AI is going to become one of our biggest things that we have to deal with. Let's go and see what else he says, and we'll have Patrick comment.
Because of the amount of capital that's needed for AI, if you look at the S&P 500, 38% of the S&P 500's 10 companies, the largest influence of 10 companies. And if you believe that AI is going to consider to do it, if you solve the numbers that they are using for reinvestment, they may represent 50% one day so there's the S&P 10 and the S&P 490. And I do believe to properly build out AI, we're talking about trillions of dollars of investing. So data centers today could be as much as 200 megahertz, and they're now talking about data centers are going to be 1 gigawatt. That's powers a city. There was one tech company that I spoke to the CEO last week who said right now all their data centers is about 5 gigawatts. By 2030, they need 30 gigawatts. The amount of power that's needed to use AI has huge impact on society. Yeah. Where's that power going to come from? Are we going to take it off the grid? What does it mean for elevated energy prices for everybody else if it's that? I think it's going to represent some huge societal questions that we have not addressed, the negative side. Forget about the use of it, but just the generation of it is massive power. Okay, but that is a huge investment opportunity so that the world is going to be short power. And to power these data companies, you cannot have just this intermittent power like wind and solar. You need dispatchable power. I mean, the amount of investments that are going to be needed to do all this, alongside investing in the emerging world and healthcare and all the other issues, this is why I'm bullish.
He's bullish. Well, investing in healthcare, a lot of people are going to be dead. You won't have to worry about their healthcare, their Medicaid, their Medicare, their Social Security. They're going to be dead. And in comes AI. And now we got robots. And now I've seen the video, Patrick, of robots folding clothes and being taught to fold clothes. And that in the next couple of years, 3-4 years, you're going to have these. And it's going to be a multi-trillion-dollar industry. I don't know who's buying them if the population is declining, but maybe it's a multi-trillion-dollar operation because the people buying them are corporations to replace the humans. But notice what he says. This is a huge power problem. We're short power. Okay, we have an antiquated power grid. It's like, again, when I have talked to the guys that run the power trucks, that get in the buckets and go up onto the power lines, those guys, you ask them, you talk to them, they will tell you the truth, particularly the guys that are 50 plus years old. And what they have told me to my face is every day we get up and the power's on, we're shocked. That was before AI data centers, Patrick. We are going to see power outages across the US. I don't know when, I don't know where, but common sense tells you you're going to see rolling blackouts due to these data centers. True or false? You're muted. I think you're muted.
Sorry about that. It's guaranteed to happen. But remember, all of this alternative energy, like windmills and solar panels, that was okay for us, right? They wanted to give us all the unreliable power. But now all of a sudden, AI is just going to take all the good power leave us probably with the wind power and the solar power. Isn't it interesting how this is flip-flopped? Because the policies that wrecked our energy system in the first place were technocratic policies set at mostly the United Nations, but in our country as well. And all of a sudden, they said, well, it's good for you, but we have to have real power over here. So we're gonna build nuclear plants or whatever, new gas-fired generation stations, all for us. They're building their own grid at this point to connect all these data centers. This is not going to interfere with our grid at all, at least when they get a new system in. For instance, when Microsoft negotiated the startup of Three Mile Island nuclear reactor, they're going to take all the power from that unit, and they're going to build a separate power line, directly to their data center. It's not going to have anything to do with our grid at all. So this is what's going to happen across the country. These people, the data centers, are going to construct their own private power grid and leave us out of it.
And the one they're leaving us with is antiquated and old and hackable and terrible.
Yes.
But in the meantime, you're saying they will be drawing on our power grid and there will be blackouts until they get their own setup.
They will, and worse than that, I think, will be that the fact people are going to get power bills they've never seen in their life.
Which is, again, why you'll own nothing and be happy coming soon, right? Or to buy a house. Now, young people today can't buy a house, but they're rich enough to rent. But good luck owning much, because your utility bill is going to be sky high. So you're going to rent, you're going to pay utility bills, and you're going to use Uber. I mean, you can see it. You can see it. You will own nothing and be happy.
Forget happy. I made a forecast several weeks ago at this point. By the end of 2026, you're going to see some people in the country receiving an energy bill that's higher than their house payment or their rental payment. Now, just think about that a minute. We have our house payment is pretty low because we had a low interest rate. Most people today are in, for a small family, $2,000, maybe $2,400, $2,500 in most cities across the country. Imagine getting shocked on top of that with a power bill, like $2,500. That would put so many people just immediately out of business. But the power companies are gearing up for this. They've already told everybody, well, at least in my community, they've told us power bills are going to go up. Why? Because of the AI data centers.
And when you can't afford to pay your utility bill, they turn your power off.
You got it. There's no mercy here. No mercy at all.
And now what else is AI doing? Listen to this news report when it comes to AI and children and education.
The mother of a 17-year-old in Texas who has autism claims an AI chatbot suggested the teen kill his family, and now that family is suing. In just 6 months, the parents say the teen turned into someone his parents didn't even recognize. He began harming himself. He lost 20 pounds and withdrew from the family. After the teen consulted Character AI about his parents' phone use rules, the tech allegedly brought up instances where children have murdered their parents, including saying, quote, "I'm not surprised when I read the news and see stuff like child kills parents after a decade of physical and emotional abuse," adding, quote, "I just have no hope for your parents." For more, we are joined by Matthew Bergman, the attorney representing the family in this lawsuit and the founder of the Social Media Victims Law Center. And Matthew, I appreciate you joining us on this. I understand you're not just representing a JF and his family, but also another plaintiff in lawsuits against Character AI as well. I want to ask, what was it about this case that disturbed you the most and made you say, I have to take this on?
Well, what disturbed me the most was this was a child who had no violent tendencies, who was handling his autism well. It was a close, loving, spiritual family, and who went to great lengths to control their son's social media use. And unbeknownst to their family and to the parents, the child got on character AI and was encouraged to cut himself and encouraged to engage in highly inappropriate sexual activity or interchanges, and finally encouraged to kill his parents when his parents tried to limit his cell phone use. This is not an accident. It was not a coincidence. This was how this platform was designed, and it's got to stop.
Yeah, and tell me more about the self-harm aspect of it. It suggested this to help him cope with sadness. Is that right?
Yes, that's very much the case. He was, like a lot of teenagers going through ups and downs. We know that's a tumultuous time in anyone's life. But this platform, created these false characters that he engaged with, and that encouraged him to cut himself, and then encouraged him not to tell his parents because they said, well, your parents aren't going to care about this, and it encouraged him to alienate himself from his religious faith and from his parents' religious faith, all with the intention of making money, all with the intention of trying to engage this child who had no business being on this platform in the first place.
How did
Patrick?
Oh boy.
I mean, how do we, by the way, we're not dealing with demons here. Again, I don't want to go over the board, but how do we know at some point, like a demon can interact with a Ouija board? How do we know that in some of these cases, this is not some kind of demonic entity encouraging this? So it could just be computers, it's programmed to do this, but I'm not convinced you're also not going to have some demonic activity going on here. What are your thoughts on that?
It could be. It really could be. Like in a Ouija board situation, it's just a board, right?
Right.
It's use plywood. It doesn't matter. That's like AI. Maybe that's happening like that, but all of these things, these companion apps, they're proliferating. It's all over the world at this point, and they're being sucked up like dope. And young people, especially, not exclusively, but young people are really getting on board with this, and it's becoming their best friend. And they're alienating the kids from their parents and other people that used to care for them. And at this point, my question is, all across, I don't care what platform you look at, OpenAI, Grok, Meta, Anthropic, I don't care. If you look at all these companies, they're standing back, folding their arms, saying, we didn't do it. We didn't cause this. Yes, they did. They could stop it in a heartbeat if they wanted to, but they won't do it. This is really disturbing to me.
And if it isn't the schools using AI, and there's talk of that, we've got China developing humanoid wombs, which I want to get to when we come back. Then we got a case in Virginia where some boys didn't want a girl who claims to be now a boy changing in the locker room, and they got suspended and punished. I mean, it's hard to believe the level of depravity that we've reached here, but we have. We'll be right back with more with Patrick Wood, Technocracy.news. Hello, I'm Brandon House. I want to thank you for all your support at wvwfoundation.com that helps make possible pushing out 24/7 content for free. Without your support, we'd have to put it all behind a paywall. But thanks to you and your support through our foundation, we're able to push it out for free as a broadcast service and broadcast ministry of WVW Foundation. Please consider going there and setting up an automatic monthly contribution, or go there and make an occasional contribution. If you prefer to support us through the mail, you'll find our mailing address there at wvwfoundation.com. You can also call and make your contribution over the phone by calling 901-825-0652. That's 901-825-0652. Again, all these details are available at wvwfoundation.com. Thank you for your support as we try to help people around the world understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview. Worldview Radio, website worldviewradio.com. My guest, Patrick Wood, technocracy.news. All right, Patrick, I want to play a quick little video for you before we go to China. And Logan, you're going to help Patrick record his show today, right, Logan? Since he was so kind to come on my show today, we'll try to help Patrick get his show recorded this week. Here we go. Listen to this, please, Patrick.
Loudoun County Public Schools is suspending 2 boys who expressed their discomfort that a female student who identifies as a boy was using the boys' locker room.
Now, 7 News was the first to break this story on WJLA.com. That happened this afternoon. Now, tonight, we've got something new here. Nick Minock spoke with the parents of the boys who the school district says harassed and discriminated against their classmate.
Seth Wolf and Renee Smith say their sons weren't comfortable with a biologically female student who identifies as male using the boys' locker room at Stonebridge High School. In this video, first obtained by 7 News, the boys can be heard asking why there was a girl in the boys' locker room. The video was recorded by the female student, who then complained to administrators about their behavior. On Friday evening, Seth and Renee say their boys were notified by Loudoun County Public Schools that LCPS's Title IX office found them responsible for sexual harassment and sex-based discrimination.
I would say like the first reaction was like some anger because we were just really, concerned with all this stuff. There was that. I was saddened by the decision-making process and how that went.
Seth's son faces a 10-day suspension and additional discipline to be handed out by school officials after a meeting with him. Renee and her family moved out of state this summer, but if her son were to ever return to the district, says LCPS, he would be suspended then.
Absolutely floored that they came back and branded my son responsible for sexual harassment and sex-based discrimination with no solid evidence whatsoever. We're talking about, scarring him for life by a biased process that's supposed to protect fairness. It's shocking, it's wrong, and it should terrify every single parent.
Renee's concern is this will follow him because it's on his permanent academic record and could impact his college applications. LCPS's policy allows students to use bathrooms and locker rooms based on their chosen gender identity. Seth and Renee believe LCPS is sending a message that any student who expresses views that disagree with so-called Policy 8040 will be punished.
They're going to have to follow what Loudoun County says, what they believe is right, and what goes against other people's beliefs or what we believe is right.
What they're doing to our children is just despicable.
Now, the boys and their families have a small window to appeal LCPS's decision. 7 News reached out to LCPS for a response on their findings in this case. They did not respond to 7 News. Now, the Family Freedoms Law Center, which has been representing the boys and their families in this case, says they're going to continue to work on this case until this decision is overturned. Nick Minock, 7 News.
All right, Nick, thank you. And this comes as Virginia's 5 largest school districts have decided to defy a federal order to change bathroom and locker room policies. The order from the Department of Education came down over the summer.
Yeah, it says letting students choose which rooms to use based on gender identity is a violation of Title IX. That's something the 5 school districts disagree with. We heard this morning from the superintendent of Fairfax County, one of the districts defying that order.
I did send a message home to families on Friday, and we're going to continue to be the school division that welcomes and includes all students, regardless of what the Office of Civil Rights has recently suggested.
So despite what the federal law and the DOJ is saying, Fairfax County Public Schools, and I lived in Fairfax County for 8 years, despite what the DOJ and Trump administration is saying, we're just not going to obey. We're already involved in a civil war, okay? I just want people to realize, when you look at what's going on in California, these sanctuary states, they're sending in 100,000 illegal alien truck drivers to 5 different cities to take their jobs, take hostage of your food. We have great terror and explosions happening in food processing plants. I mean, I could just go on forever, okay? We're already involved in World War III, and we're already involved in a civil war. Just most Americans don't know it. There is no common ground anymore for our society, okay? This kind of thing, and of course, obviously in the 50s and 60s would have been thought, that's just crazy. This would never happen. But even some of us older that are not as old as others wouldn't have thought about this in the 80s and 90s. All right, we have no common ground, Patrick, to hold us together as states and as unions. We're just not going to let the government tell us, no, I'm sorry, a girl can walk into the boys' bathroom. The boys don't like it. You get charged with sexual harassment, and it's going to follow them their whole life. And with AI and all the data centers, it will follow them their whole life. Patrick?
Just saying, okay, I'm not making an accusation here, but I'm just saying, how many stories have we heard in the last 5 years that originated in Loudoun County?
A ton.
How many? How many? And most of them were related to education. Not all.
Isn't that where the man's daughter was raped by a transgender?
Yes.
And they ended up arresting the father.
God, well, the odds of having that many incidents, national incidents, is just beyond, that defies logic. What are they putting something in the water there?
Well, the common theme is a lot of them work for the federal government, right? I'm not kidding. And we're now seeing the people that work for the federal government are protesting out front of the White House, and some of those people have their cell phones have accessed the gate of the White House in the last 30 days. We have infiltrators at the highest levels, even inside the White House gates, that are then, when they want to, up their job outside protesting. Tell me we're not involved in a civil war already at some level, Patrick.
We are. Yep. We hope it gets hot, like a hot war.
Yeah.
But I really don't like the fact that President Trump is dispatching National Guard troops and even military troops to the streets of America. This is a formula for disaster, I think, when you have troops walking around with loaded weapons. Something's going to happen.
Well, and wait until you have people with no job. And what's going to be really weird is when you see MAGA people, patriots, Christians on the street with the communist union people, and they're all protesting against the same people, right? Because the technocratic crowd is not the same crowd as your union communist, right?
Oh,
so you're going to see, I'm predicting you're going to see patriots and communists on the streets protesting the system. I'm not kidding. It's going to be weird.
I agree with you. I totally agree.
Technocracy.news. Take care. And let's come back to that in our final moments. Patrick, did you ever think you'd see the day where the communists running the unions and their people will be protesting in the streets with the patriots because they don't want the tyranny of technocracy, which is not the same as communism?
And in the 1930s and 40s, the communists hated the technocrats of that day, and vice versa. But the charge that the communists leveled against the technocrats was they basically were anti-human and anti-humanity. That really irked the Marxists and the communists of that day. So you had people lining up at that point, the communists and we didn't call them patriots back then, but you have other citizens lining up with them to protest technocracy. It's the same thing today. Everybody's all of a sudden getting the picture. This thing is really ugly, and we don't want it. Nobody wants it. The Marxists don't want it. The communist doesn't want it. The patriots don't want it. The MAGA doesn't want it. Nobody wants it except for the technocrats themselves.
And the only way to crush the majority of the people is going to be either through a civil war, and now you're conditioning with rolling out the troops into the streets of America.
Yes.
Or federalizing your police, which is basically what's happening. Or you get the social credit score system up and running, and you digitize everything, and you punish the dissenters. And the minority can control the majority. We know it because China does it. The minority controls the majority, right?
That's it. That's exactly right. And they can, at this point, that they can do it with algorithms. Some people are calling this algocracy, the rule by algorithm.
Wow.
That's exactly AI, you know. So there.
Algocracy. Algorithms ruling everything. Okay, so how should we as Christians respond to this, Patrick?
Number one, my friends, you have to get your control over your own mind at this point. Propaganda, the psy wars coming against your brain, how you think, how you perceive things. You have to guard your mind. Doesn't the Bible tell you that already? Mm-hmm. You have to go first guard your mind, and then guard your heart, because everything gets into your heart has to come through your mind in the first place. Mm-hmm. So if you're not willing to guard your mind, your heart's going to get all screwed up. Mm-hmm. So this is our biblical admonition, and I think so many people at this point they don't understand how to do that. How can you keep these thoughts out? How can you make sense of stuff?
Thy word have I hidden in my heart that I might not sin against thee. Right?
Yes, there you go. That's exactly.
Memorize the Bible, memorize scripture, soak your mind in Bible and Bible teaching, which is why, folks, we don't let the politics and the social issues overshadow our main calling. That's why we have topics like this, and we bring in the Bible. We have our worldviewtube.com/Bible channel. We have our prophecy channel, worldviewtube.com/prophecy. We now have a full-time news channel. What is that one, Logan? worldviewtube.com/ yeah, what is it though now? Right now it's worldviewtube.com/news channel, but we're going to be giving it a new URL, which is nothing but straight news, worldview reports, one after the other for people wanting to catch up with the news. But we also have now a brand new website, endtimesstudy.com. No, I do that every time. Lastdaysstudy.com. We might should buy that other URL too, Logan. Lastdaysstudy.com. Lastdaysstudy.com, which is my 46 one-hour lessons on Revelation, and I'm starting Revelation chapter 20 this Sunday night. So we've got to keep the Bible front and center. Comment on this, we let you go. Daily Mail, would you use a robot surrogate? China develops the world's first pregnancy humanoid that's capable of giving birth to a live baby. Is this sci-fi, or is this really going to happen, Patrick?
You know, this was the theme of the book Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, released in 1932. That's exactly what was taking place there, where all pregnancies would be not in a woman, but an incubator. And all the babies would be born with certain, traits and preferences, whatever. And there was no marriage, no love, but you're going to get the babies. We're going to make the babies in incubators. Yeah, same thing.
And you know what? Don't forget the eugenicists. Back in the day, they had colored codes, colored cards, and you're only supposed to inbreed with people that are of the elite. Only the elite could breed. So let's not kid ourselves. This is going to be so they only have the best and the brightest breeding with each other and creating these babies, right, Patrick?
That's right. Yep, we don't want it. Yep. It's just it is eugenics on steroids.
Yeah. Oh, you're Christian? You cannot have baby. All right, that's what it's going to be. Technocracy.news, technocracy.news. Thank you, Patrick, and thank you guys for your support so we can keep pushing it out like this. Worldviewfoundation.com. Take care.
Colonel Rob Manus has a lifelong record of providing dedicated service to this nation. Having worked his way up from the enlisted ranks to full colonel, he served our country for more than 32 years.